Welcome back, everybody. In this part, video 2, I'm going to go ahead and share some of the things he showed me that night when I saw those videos. My computer logged itself into YouTube, shut itself down, turned itself back on, logged itself into YouTube as me and my cousin sat in amazement. Because you know I'm sitting on a personal firewall network with a custom-built gaming rig that's just massively secure. I haven't trusted the media for a long time. I realized while I was in prison, the TV that they allowed us to watch, I started to see the brainwashing that was in it, and I started to research Timothy Leary and hypnotization and some of the things they'd researched in the 60s, 70s, even the 80s with the U.S. government, and they're still researching today through video hypnosis. And I decided I was just never going to watch commercials again. And I don't support brand names and things like that. Obviously, this hat was given to me as a gift, and I'm going to wear hats and things like that, but I don't wear name brand clothing. I try to live my life as poor as possible, and I think that's one of the saving graces that I've experienced in my life, is poverty, actually. A lot of the abuse, the fatherlessness, and the things like that are exactly where Christ said people of him would be. Ironically, it turns out that most of my greatest curses in my life were actually blessings. But that night, he showed me a lot of things that I hadn't seen. We started looking at anonymous videos. And the weird thing is, I'm so pro-anonymous, yet I didn't see that they were the gray, or they were the black to the white, to the evil in the world, which is the white, and was showing us, either side of an argument, trying to push us into a gray. And I didn't understand that because I didn't understand who Satan is. Lucifer was kicked out of heaven for trading, not lying. He's the father of lies, not because he lies, because he makes you lie. And how he does that is he uses two stories. He'll go to one person and he'll tell the beginning of the story. He'll go to the other person and he'll tell the end of the story. And he won't tell the middle. And now, naturally, inquisitive minds and hearts, as we are, we will go to one another and we will create the gray. And this is the deception we see in the media, and it's why it's so hard to take an honest perception of who people are, is because they're not giving you the gray, the real meat of the story. They're giving you a black and a white, and they perceive this as, and portray this as they're posting an opinion. Well, since when did opinions become more important than truth? I believe in 1987, as one of the men on the Prophecy Club stated, a great delusion was passed over the United States and many other countries. And the delusion came from Father, and it's because he said, because you do not believe in me, I'll allow you to believe in anything. And since then, we've seen Scientology and some crazy stuff pop up. And if you just look at, the role models we had back then, I used to joke and call this the Full House effect. I grew up in a broken family, but oddly enough, I had Bob Saget and Alan Thicke and these people, and they really influenced me. They showed me that love and compassion, what family should be, and made it to the point where I just won't settle for anything less in my life, and if that means that I die lonely, well, then my loneliness was just. I believe love is something that's important, and sex is not something you should just give away. And that makes me uncool, but, well, as you can see, I'm not a cool guy anyway. So, that night he showed me so much violence in the world that I'd been ignoring for so long by not watching the news, not watching the media. I didn't realize how much police brutality was in the world. I didn't realize how much corruption. I started before this getting sucked in by the devil by watching Zeitgeist and things like that, which portray the black and the white and try to get you to assume a gray, which is that Jesus Christ is a fictional character. Turns out he's just the most mocked character in history. If you want to believe in Jesus Christ, I give you one fact. The fact that the Egyptians and many of his enemies did not deny that he resurrected Lazarus. They accused him of black magic. Now, tell me, your enemy in town, your enemy decides that you used black magic? No, his first response is going to be, he did not resurrect somebody. You know what I mean? That's not even their first response. They know he resurrected somebody. The proof is in the pudding that his enemies didn't even deny it. So this guy's walking around, he is healing people, he is resurrecting people. The problem is how they changed the names. God showed me that, Father showed me that he works through words, Satan. He takes a few words and he changes them. The fact that we call Father Lord, he asked in the Old Testament not to call him Lord. He says, don't call me Lord, for I am your Father. And this offers such a love that why would we want to call him master? One of the first things I started asking, when my Holy Spirit visited me and I got to ask Father questions, I just started unloading all kinds of silly questions, really having heart-to-hearts and getting deep into who he is. And I started to ask about the cosmos and his role and things like that. And he told me just very bluntly, you don't get to know me like that. You get to know me as Father. Others in this world and this creation may know me as boss. Others in this world may know me as enemy. Others in this world may know me as dictator. We get to know him as Father. So that kind of love I won't deny. I don't ask him about his role. I don't ask about his personal life. This is not my business. I don't tell my dad what to do at work. You know what I mean? I asked him if we had a mother, and his response was just amazing. It touched my heart so deeply. The response was, he says, well, I used to have a girlfriend named Nicole. And he says, well, would you let Nicole be introduced to somebody that you didn't know and you didn't trust yet? I thought to myself, no. And he said, exactly. I thought to myself, well, now I see what I have to gain. And then I started to look into the wording of the Bible, and the fact that they changed his name to God. They take out Yahweh, and he gives us a personal name. He says, to his enemies to call him I am. His name's not God. Zeus was a god. These are petty people. He's not petty. He loves so much that he is creation. He's expanded his energy to make up every microbe that we are. Basically delocalization at a level of quarks, if you get into science at all, is basically proven that we're in a digital simulation, and that proves to me that it's a creation. Accidental things don't have limitations. Limitations don't occur in these accidental realms. So that night I sat there and I watched so many videos about Anonymous and the Illuminati and who's in it, and how many people put up these crazy signs. I don't want to do them, but the 666 with a hand and the pyramid over the eye and what those actually relate to, and started looking into the fact that like the letter J wasn't invented for like another 1600 years after Jesus. I mean, how's his name Jesus again? And then you look into the fact, if you look up Jesus with a G, it was actually at Stonehenge, the god they worshipped, and it was a satanic god. You know what I mean? Talk about your perversion of the names. But, to know him as the Christ and the Messiah, truth. But let's not get hung up on names, because they twist that all around. Like I said in the first video, one of the worst things they twist is the fact that he breathed breath into us for life. No, he already created life. He'd already given that to Adam as a mammal. He breathed into him conscience, an absolute connection from the heart, to the mind and to Father. The poisoning of that is the devil, and as you know, anyone who thinks deeply, there's two voices in your head. There's two ways to go on every thought, and it's not just the duality of you. It's much more complex. Other mammals don't see it this way. And that's due to the poisoning of the consciousnness. And the other entrance of Satan is you got to look at a little bit of science here and realize that over 70% of the world that we know it, in the universe, is dark matter. This thing that's void of light, so that we can't describe it, we can't analyze it. Our parameters won't even allow us to touch it, see it. We walk right through it every day. It's traveling through your body. So how is it so hard to believe that a perfect universe was created and that darkness came into it? Now this dark matter and these black holes, these things that are void of light, are so dense that it would cause the entire universe to collapse on itself and cause ultimate death and corruption to a finite point until the darkness swallowed everything. Now that is Satan's ultimate desire, is to steal this from God. But God introduces death. Because Satan was allowed in, God introduces death by expanding the universe at such a rate that it perfectly balances this, except for it does cause aging. Scientists will acknowledge that if it wasn't for the expansion of the universe, we wouldn't age. Time is relative to the expansion of the universe itself. So, all of a sudden we have this beautiful, perfect universe, this Eden, this thing is infallible. You look at the beauty and the intricacy of a butterfly or things like that, it's so perfect. It's hard to believe that Satan exists in the world. Well, the truth is, watch it die. Father is light and love. He showed me who Jesus Christ was that night. Showed me who I was. He reflected on me as a speck in the dust. And Jesus Christ as a magnifying glass that refracted a certain color of his light. As I was shown heaven, I realized that in heaven you see color. And these colors are the light of virtue. Each feeling, virtue, each thing that you stand for represents a color up there. And it is that actually creates our aura. We're beings of light. Our souls are immortal beings of light that are actually expansions of Father himself. I mean, so much so that that's why we have the ability to do good and evil. It's not because of Satan. This is a gift of choices given from Father. Free will is his gift. It's not Satan's. You know, the fact that we're allowed to do evil and evil exists is because death was entered. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be so evil if people made mistakes, picked themselves up, and nobody died, would it? No. I started to realize this, and I started to watch some epic series, which I'll link on my YouTube channel, that were made to show us who Satan was and his presence in the world. One of them being Good Fight Ministries, a vigilante Christian. Many of these people exposing the truth. You know, things that I had refused to see. You know, for years I just pirated movies and you know, I'd watch stuff on Hulu with AdBlock Plus and things like that. Anything I could do to get rid of commercials and be selective at what I watched, because I know that, you know, a lot of this stuff is just mind-numbing, and you know, a lot of this stuff isn't cool. I don't like war movies. I don't like things like that. I don't like glorification of death. You know, I myself would die for any other man because that's my role as a Christian, but it's not something I glorify. It's something I dread, and it's a duty that I have to my fellow man. If that makes me a terrorist, I guess, you know, come pick me up and lock me up and give me some free meals, or just end it and send me to heaven. You know, what are you going to do to a Christian? Please, behead me. I wish, okay? I wish, you know, what an honor that would be, you know, to be able to stand among the 24 in the green light of his judgment. By the way, I had never really got into the Bible. He told me that my purpose was to be one of the 144,000 that will march upon Lucifer. And how we do that is we lay down our bodies. Nobody raises a single hand towards Lucifer. But the problem is Jesus Christ is so powerful in his pure form, he can't touch the earth without destroying it. So the covenant has to be removed from Israel. We appear on a mountaintop in tattered clothes, and we chant, you know, with the God of the dead who raises the dead behind us, whom shall we fear? You know, with the Father of mercy behind us, whom shall we fear? And we just roar. And we all roar like lions, and when 144,000 men roar, it just trembles and shakes this valley that leads down to this small building with nothing but, you know, columns as a temple. And in it sits a man in black sitting on a gold box. And I later learned that that's the Ark of the Covenant. It's where the covenant is still held that protects Israel, and the promise is still held, and Father never breaks a promise. So not one interaction from Father will happen up until that moment that will damn humanity. In that moment, we all lay down ourselves. There's people in the front that will be tempted and tortured by Satan, and they'll be shown awful things. The first thing I seen when I came to was children being mutilated and their pets being killed in front of them. And I thought to myself, wow, this is pretty traumatic. I didn't think a God experience would be like this. And I instantly dropped to my knees. I lost my voice for 3 days. And I went back and stood against a wall to the south, and I prayed, Christ, if you can use me as a t-shirt to lay down in a mud puddle, please do so. Use me for anything. My life is yours. And after I did that, I received the vision that that's what we do. He actually walks on our backs as a paved road and marches down, and we leap on top of these tanks, these giant machines. We leap on top of them and cover them with human bodies, so much so that we smother them and make a road. He marches on our back, and without even raising a single hand, removes Satan from the throne, withdraws the covenant, and the rapture happens right then. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. This was very, very real. Not hallucinating, not on any drugs, you know, sober as a joke, laying there, and just started to have visions. And didn't know a lot of this stuff was actually in the Bible. I've been to church, but church does not portray the truth. In video 3, I'll go ahead and I'll continue about the things that I've seen in my visions. And I know you guys might think I'm crazy, but hey, I got nothing to lose, people.